Before I introduce council members who are available now, I think this would be the right time to announce the housekeeping rules. In order to have a successful webinar this afternoon, please let's observe the following housekeeping rules. We shall at all times mute our sound unless we are permitted to speak. So please let's make sure our microphones are off. We should ensure that we are in a noise-free environment for us to actually benefit from this webinar. We should endeavor to turn off our webcam during the presentation. We are also encouraged to drop in our questions and comments in the chat box. This will be read out during the Q&A session. Despite that the presentation slides will be made available to members, we are encouraged to take our own notes if necessary. May I invite the president of the Institute, Mr. Joseph Dakora Zumazege, to give us the opening remarks and to continue with the introduction of newly certified internal auditors before we roll on. Joe, over to you.
Thanks very much, Nee. Let me use this opportunity to welcome all members to this event. I mean, all participants to this event. I say all participants because we did not, it wasn't done such that only members would attend. So I welcome all participants to this event. Nee has already indicated that this is one among many of such events that are planned ahead of us. And we trust in that through these events, we'll learn together, and as we learn, we will improve in the services that we deliver to our stakeholders. I would also want to entreat all members that your suggestions would be very useful in fine-tuning the other events that we have ahead of us. So please do well to send us your feedback. I'm sure they'll be sharing a survey link in the course of this event, so that you share your expectations, your experience of this event and your expectations with us, so that we can improve going forward. One new thing we intend to do this year is to focus a lot of attention or to highlight the certification. So for that reason, we will be seeing, you would see that we would acknowledge newly qualified members or members who have qualified since 2023. And we also looking forward to have a lot more members certified. For those of us who are qualified accountants with ICAG, maybe this would be, there is some good news on the way. We would start clarifying what that good news is going forward. But I would want to give you a hint that so much work has gone on to the requests that you've been making to us, and that it is beginning to yield fruits. Would soon come out with a clear communication on what the outcome has been. So rest assured that a lot is being done to make it much easier or to facilitate the processes to becoming CIAs as far as our side is concerned. So at this level, at this point, I would want to say or to mention that throughout 2023 up to now, we have had some of our members or some Ghanaians, because IIA has made it such that even when you are not a member of the Institute, but you qualify from Ghana, we are notified of the fact that one person, a CIA, is coming from Ghana. So I would want to run through some names that I have. So for 2023, okay, you would see on your screens that 2023, we had Henry Kwete, Grace Baden Ejapong, Maxwell Asensubuachi, Henry Okai, Isaac Kumsen, Sharif Idrisa, Sarah Hayford, Martina Mutiatu Mohammed, Sali Abdullahi, Amanda Hassan, George Oti Kwatin, Michael Oparit Dakwa, Monita Debbie, Theophilus Tando, Stella Ose Owusu, and George Anyaba as members that became CIAs or as CIAs for 2023. So to all of you, I say a great congratulations to you because I know what effort goes into this journey that you took and got to where you are. Now, for 2024, we have Michael Bewonyo, whose picture you see on your screen, newly qualified 2024. Congratulations, Michael. We have Simon Yao Ose. Simon Yao Ose, congratulations and welcome to the folk of CIAs. We also have Denzel Omari. Congratulations, Denzel, on the house. And lastly, we have Eunice Barnes, but we're not displaying her picture because we could not confirm her consent to have a picture displayed during this meeting. So congratulations to all of these people. For those of us who are still on course to certifying, I pray and hope that you would be able to contact any of these people that we've mentioned for them to share their experience with you. Motivated to finish the course you've already started. So on this note, I wish to say we'll proceed with the rest of the event, and we will subsequently have a word on the benefits of certifying. Thank you, Ni. Take it over.
Thank you. Thank you very much, Joe. That was the president of the Institute of Internal Auditors, Ghana. Before I proceed, allow me to recognize the following council members who are currently on call. Ms. Stella Achampon, do you want to say a hi to us, Stella?
Hello, everybody. Good afternoon, and you are welcome.
Thank you, Stella.
Yes.
We also have Mr. Martin Dono Abayete. Mr. Martin, do you want to say a hi to us?
Hi, good afternoon, everybody, and welcome to the training program. Thank you.
Thank you. We will be introducing other council members as soon as they come online. We have a bit of a packed program today, so we want to crave your indulgence that you give us a little bit of your time for today.
Me, I saw IPP on, so you may just want to acknowledge her so that.
Oh, okay. IPP, Miss Harriet Ikua Kakari, please say hi to us, Harriet.
Hi, everyone. Good afternoon.
Afternoon, Harriet. Beautiful as usual.
Thank you.
Yeah, we'll be having a short session on the certification process just after the Q&A session. Without wasting my time, let's move on straight to our webinar for today. Our webinar for today is dubbed Emotional Intelligence for Internal Auditors. Emotional intelligence generally is expected to help manage our emotions and understand better the perspectives of our clients. The knowledge of emotional intelligence is therefore to help us to build stronger relationships through effective communication with our colleagues. It can also help us to build trust, resolve conflicts, and make more informed decisions in our work. To throw more light on this topic is our resource person, who is a renowned clinical psychologist. He graduated from the School of Medical Sciences of the Kwame Nkrumah University of Science and Technology in November 1993. He has been a doctor since January 1994 and has a master's degree in community health and clinical psychology. He is currently the superintendent of the VRA hospitals in Accra, a position he has held since January 2003. He is the host on the radio program Shihilemli Nile, meaning Wisdom for Living, on Latino radio station 96.1 FM. He is a seasoned speaker, a relationship counselor, a life coach, and a writer. He is the editor of 2 internet blogs. He's a pastor, an ardent musician, a songwriter, and he directs his own church choir. He's been married for 27 years to 1 wife, and he has 3 children. Ladies and gentlemen, with open arms, shall we welcome on board our presenter for this afternoon, Dr. Emmanuel Soa. Our presenter, can you say hi to us? Dr. Emmanuel Soa. Doc.
Doctor, if you are speaking, we cannot hear. Kindly check your mic.
Doctor, please, are you on? You are not audible.
Hello.
Doctor is muted. Doctor, do you want to unmute and say hi to us?
Yeah, you can hear me now, I guess.
Okay, yeah, you are audible now. So before you take over, I want to announce that after his presentation, which basically will last for an hour, we'll move on to the Q&A session where he will be addressing our questions. So as he rolls on, we are encouraged to drop in our questions in the chat box. This will be read out at the end of the Q&A session. Doctor, over to you. Thank you very much.
Thank you very much. I'm happy to be here, and I thank you for the opportunity to share a bit on this most important topic. And I believe that it will be of great help to all our listeners. It's not just meant for our work, but also for our lives. Unfortunately, the topic is so broad that collapsing it into an hour is very difficult, and but I'm hoping that by the end of it, or we'll have a hang of it, and it will change the way we live and work. Thank you once again. So, emotional intelligence is about our ability to do information processing about our own emotions and about the emotions of others, and to use this information as a guide to our thinking and behavior. So purely speaking, it is about how you process your own and others' emotions and how you use the information to guide your thinking and behavior. There are many other definitions, but suffice it to say that those who are emotionally intelligent pay attention to emotions. They use emotions, they understand emotions, and they manage emotions. They manage not only their emotions, but they also manage the emotions of others. They understand what they are feeling at every time, and they understand the emotions of other people also. And when they don't understand, they seek to understand. So it is very, is a very necessary tool for the kind of work that you do. So we are saying that we need to be able to first perceive emotions in ourselves and in others. When you are not feeling okay, you must know exactly what you're feeling. You must be able to give a name to the emotion that you are having. And it is also important to be able to know how other people are feeling. Emotional intelligence is about understanding the emotions, about managing and then using. How do you make use of the emotions that come to your knowledge to facilitate your living and your relationships? So we have to rush through this quickly. Emotions have certain attributes that we must be aware of. Because we are talking about intelligence here, it presupposes that you need to have certain kinds of knowledge about emotions. And I'm putting a few here for us to learn about that will change our perspective on emotions as a whole. The first one is that emotions amplify and distort whatever is causing them. Someone is speaking in the background.
Hello.
Proceed. After you may proceed, please.
He's muted.
Emotions amplify or distort whatever is causing them. So, for example, if somebody does something which you get angry about, the fact that you are angry makes the offense to increase in its gravity in your perception. So the gravity of the offense increases simply because you are angry about it. So if you get angry, that anger is likely to mount because then it becomes a vicious cycle. In the same way, if you are in love with a girl, you think it's beautiful, you're having feelings for her, she'll begin to look even more beautiful than she actually is in your perception. And that will drive you to chase harder after her. So this is what emotions can do to you. So that knowing this, then you know the extent to which you are going to allow your emotions to be the driver behind your behaviors. The second thing we need to understand is that stress has an impact on our emotions are impacted by stress. When you are stressed, your perception, your optimism, for example, goes down. You become more pessimistic. You have more negative emotions when you are under stress. You have fear can creep in when you are under stress. So stress has a way of making our negative emotions more, they go up in intensity and they trigger some of our negative emotions. So that is why it is important to manage our stress, to know that, oh, I'm feeling stressed, so I shouldn't try to handle this client or go into this engagement with this person, because at the end of the day, is going to trigger certain emotions or increase levels of certain emotions that can cause you trouble. The next thing is that emotional signals retreat in intensity. So for example, if you feel angry right now, the anger will rise to a certain level, and after some time, it will begin to decline. It will begin to decline. So the initial intensity of anger that you had can only be sustained if you keep meditating on whatever caused it, and you keep making yourself angry over and over and over again. But aside that, the anger itself will naturally subside. If it is fear, it will also naturally subside. So emotions don't stay up there. So when you are experiencing a certain negative emotion, the important thing is to refrain from taking action based on that emotion, because that emotion is going to soon leave you. When it leaves you, you would have caused damage or done something that you would regret. So it is important to know that the fact that I'm angry right now does not mean that I'll be angry in 2 hours or in 4 hours or in 5 hours. Give it time, the anger will subside. So be careful what you do when you are in the throes of emotion. When you are in the throes of emotion, be careful what you do, because those emotions will abandon you with time. If, for example, you are taken to prison, when you get there, you see the place and you look at yourself, you'll be very depressed. But let's give you 6 months in that place. You'll be the one comforting the new people, and you are so happy to be there. That is what happens when we go through certain emotions, or when emotions come. So people will say, oh, I'm in love with him, I'm in love with her. They marry. Then after some time, it's like, what happened to all those feelings? It's like it's all disappearing. The next thing you need to know about emotions is that there is what we call negative bias. Negative emotions affect us more than positive ones. So for example, winning 1 million whilst betting brings you some quantum of happiness. But that quantum of happiness you get from winning 1 million comes nowhere near the quantum of sadness or disappointment or pain you get if you lose 1 million. So negative emotions affect us more than positive ones. And negative emotions are more related to our survival. So your survival is guarded by your negative emotions. So when your survival is under threat, negative emotions come up. And because they are related to your survival, they need to have greater balance. So our negative emotions tend to affect us more. They are calling for attention because your body wants you to live. So it will drive you to take action. The next thing is that emotions are changed by exploration and expression. Anytime you begin to ask yourself, why am I feeling this way? Anytime you begin to pay attention to your emotions, they begin to change. They begin to decline in intensity. The moment you acknowledge that I'm very angry, and you begin to ask yourself, why should I be angry? And you are exploring that emotion, you see that your anger will reduce. In the same way, if you say, oh, I'm happy, by the time you realize the happiness levels will go down. So emotions change when we explore or express them. The next thing is that emotions are accentuated by feelings from our implicit memory. As we grow up, we all go through certain things that trigger emotions in us. And we need to understand that children experience emotions intensely because they don't have the brain capacity to be able to understand what is happening to them. So, for example, if you are angry at a child and you are spanking the child, the fear that grips that child is very intense because the child thinks that you want to kill him. He doesn't understand that you are just disciplining. He doesn't have the brain capacity to understand that. So intense emotions are generated in our childhood, in our infancy. And though we may not remember all the things that happened to us in our childhood or in our infancy, the emotional component, the feeling component of the things that we went through are stored in our subconscious memory. Anytime that we experience similar feelings, those feelings that are stored in our subconscious, which are similar to the one we are experiencing now, they all come up. So you may be angry, but the anger may not be just anger about the current event. It may be anger that is also being called up from your subconscious. So your anger levels may be much more than is warranted in the current circumstance. That is why it is important that when you are experiencing these emotions, you don't use them as a driver to take action. So many of us, when we are very angry, we do very serious things. The angrier we are, the more damage we cause. Remember that anger may not be from the current event completely. There may be things from your history that you don't even remember, which are generating extra anger to add to what you are experiencing currently. So be careful what you do with your anger. So in effect, what happens is that if you do things based on how you feel, you tend to make the same mistakes all the time. Your actions are decided by how you feel. You keep making the same mistake all the time. Because as we said, emotions are that strong, they can motivate action. And lastly, emotions are contagious. Emotions are contagious. Because we are social beings, we are made to be able to read the emotions of other people. If there is danger, I don't need to be told. I should be able to see it from the faces of people around that there is danger so that I can stay safe. And when I'm in danger, people have to see that I'm in danger so that they will come to my help. So emotions are generally difficult to conceal. Emotions are difficult to conceal. The harder you try to conceal them, the more apparent it becomes to those around. So it will show in your facial expression, it will show in the tone of your voice, it will show in your body language, it will show in the volume of your voice. Whether you are sad, angry, afraid, your body will betray what you are feeling because other people need to know what you are feeling so that they can take steps to protect themselves or they can take steps to help you. So emotions are difficult to hide and they are contagious. They are contagious. Other people around you can catch your emotions. So if, for example, you feel different from the people you work with, or you feel inferior to them, the emotions surrounding those ideas that you are harboring will show in your body language. You see that people will avoid you. Not that they are actively avoiding you, but they are going to where the emotions being displayed are more welcoming, are nicer, are more pleasant. So you find that you don't have a friend, people don't generally come close to you because you cannot hide your emotions. They are seeing it. And the harder you try to hide it, the more apparent it becomes. So these are a few things that we need to know about emotions. For the internal auditor, emotional intelligence is so important. Please give me a second.
Okay, so whilst Doc is at it, I want to recognize the presence of our Vice President on this call, Mr. Ebenezer Kojo Omari Mreku. Please, can you say hi to us? Kojo Mreku. Is he online? Shall we also recognize Madam Elizabeth Kwatente, a council member? Please say hi to us, Lizzie.
Yes, thank you. Good afternoon, everyone. This is not my usual
Thank you
voice.
very much. Thank you.
Okay, sure.
Okay, I hear our Vice President is on another board meeting, equally important. Doc, please, are you able to make yourself visible to us as you are doing the presentation? We want to see your face as you present. Is it possible?
Yeah, it's possible. I'll do that.
Okay, sir. Okay, sir. So the floor is yours now.
Okay, just a minute. All right, so this slide just tells us the sources of the emotions that we experience. So we all have inherited certain genes. So how happy you can be, how angry you can get, may all have some genetic underpinnings. In addition to that, whilst you are in your mother's womb, there are things that may have happened to her, psychologically, mentally, and physically, that can affect how your brain develops. So these two things can feed into your characteristics as a baby. And as you interact with your nurturing environment, your mother, the people around you, you can develop certain changes to those emotions. You can develop new ones. If you are born to a neglectful mother or a mean mother who is always beating you as a baby, it leads to different kinds of needs that develop in you. So babies develop needs as a result of the kind of environment they grow up in. If you grow up in a place where there are cockroaches entering your nose whilst you are sleeping, or rain is falling on you when you are sleeping, or there is so much noise where you live, this has implications for the sort of needs that you end up with, the sort of emotional baggage that you begin to carry, whether you are being abused, whether you experience some serious illness, whether you lost your mother or father or a significant person in your life, all these things have an impact on the kind of emotional state you end up with, the kind of needs that you have. And emotions tend to be about our needs. When our needs are met, we are happy. When they are not met or are denied us, we experience negative emotions. So life circumstances and the way people treat us and all that will come in and trigger some kinds of emotions in us. And we need to be able to perceive these emotions in ourselves, understand them, manage them, and use them. So we all carry around baggages from our past, as I said. If you are being raised and you are taught that before you sleep, you wash all the dishes. The number of times you will be lashed or insulted for not washing the dishes is countless. Then you grow up as an adult and your house help leaves the utensils unwashed. The kind of emotions that you generate are not only from what the house help did. All the emotions you've sustained from and beatings from not washing the dishes and all that will come back. And you cannot imagine that somebody will leave dishes unwashed overnight. Meanwhile, someone else has, what's the big deal? But for you, it is unthinkable. So we differ in the way we feel about stuff. We differ in the way we feel about stuff, and we need to acknowledge that. So a lot of times, the problem is not what is happening. The problem is how we are feeling about what is happening. So for example, you come to work and you find some white substance like powder on your chair. Is that a problem or not? You can decide that somebody is trying to harm you spiritually. So they put something on the chair and you will get stressed. Call your prophet, call your pastor, your imam, do something. Or it may be that some insects are chewing the same board above your seat and dropping those white substances on your chair. So the white substance on your chair is not the problem. It is your own interpretation of it based on who you are. So we need to understand that a problem is not self-existent. A problem does not give itself life. We give problems life by how we feel about the events that happen in our lives. And we need to be aware of that. So when things are going on and you don't like it, it is not about what is happening or who is doing what. It is about who you are and the kind of constitution you have and the kind of emotions you generate over certain issues. That is the problem. It is not that the real thing is not the problem, but you and who you are. It tells more about who you are than about what another person is or about what is happening around you. So we need to acknowledge our role in when we are happy or when we are not happy. It's all about us, how we have been programmed. Unfortunately, the programming happens when we are children, when we didn't have the brain capacity to analyze what is happening. So today things happen and then you react and people tell you that you didn't do well. What you now do is you use your adult brain to justify what you did, to blame other people, or to rationalize your behavior, rather than use your adult brain to to analyze what you are feeling and understand why you are feeling the way you are feeling, we just react. We don't respond. There is a difference between reacting and responding. Do you react or do you respond? Reaction is involuntary. It is based on feelings. It is usually self-serving. It is unethical. It is cultural. It's all about your upbringing and how you were programmed. So don't try to make it feel like your reaction is justified and the whole world feels the way you do. It is your peculiar reaction, and you must understand that and manage it instead of trying to universalize it and throw tantrums. Please give me another second.
Honorable participants, we are all encouraged to drop in our comments, our questions in the chat box. This will be read and answered by the resource persons during the Q&A session. So as we go along, let's drop in our comments and questions. Thank you.
So for an auditor to be effective, he needs to be able to communicate. Communicate what? Communicate that the audit team has a keen and accurate appreciation of the total environment in which the line management is working. If you come, a lot of people see auditors like policemen. When the police people tell us that the police is your friend, we don't believe them. You never believe it. No matter how much they try to convince us, we don't believe it. So as an auditor, you have a lot of work to you have your work cut out for you. You need to communicate the fact that you have the interest of the work at heart. You appreciate the problems that the people are going through. You need to be a good communicator. Without being emotionally intelligent, it's difficult to communicate well, and we'll come to understand why. When you are able to communicate well, the people are likely to cooperate with you. To be able to influence people, we need to make them feel understood. You need to be a good listener. And you cannot be a good listener if you are full of yourself. You are worried about your own problems. You are not managing your own emotions well. So your ability to manage your own emotions is very crucial in making other people feel heard and understood. And until they feel understood, you cannot influence them. You cannot get them on your side. As an auditor, you need to have a good working relationship with the auditees. You cannot be effective when the auditees are not cooperating. You won't be happy with your job output at the end of the day when people are not cooperating with you. And because you are the auditor, the onus is on you to build the relationships that will bring a good outcome for your job. If you are coming to audit and you are full of apprehension, you are full of venom, you are full of anger, people have told you things, and you come with all that emotional baggage, I've told you, it's all written on your face. You are the only one who doesn't see it. And the people can see it, that you have an agenda. Or they can see that you are coming with fear, so they can bully you. So you need to sort out your emotional baggage before you come. And that requires emotional intelligence. Your own emotions can disrupt the building of effective relationships. So you need to be self-aware to be able to manage yourselves. Maybe yourself, you are going through all sorts of challenges. How do you manage yourself in order that your emotions don't seep through and affect the relationship building process that is entailed in your auditing work. The moment people perceive hostility from you as an auditor, they will alienate you, they will isolate you, they will make your life hard. So how do you manage yourself so that the hostility does not come out? Emotions affect how we behave. So our thinking is the first level. How you think affects how you feel, and how you feel determines what you do. So if you don't sort out these things in your head, and then you come feeling a certain way, I've told you, you cannot hide it. People will perceive it. It will seep out in your behavior, and then you won't get the best results. You need to understand the emotions of others. As I said, when you understand people, then you can influence them.
Yeah, I've also done the same thing. The chat is the
And because emotions are contagious, you should know that at times how you are feeling is not your own feeling. It's feelings that you have caught from your auditees that you are manifesting. So as an auditor, you must know feelings which are your own and feelings that you caught from others so that you can manage them. And your feeling of being threatened, you must be able to manage it. As an auditor, if you live in fear of what people can do to you, whether physically or spiritually, all those feelings manifest in your work. So you need to manage yourself well. Especially because what you are feeling affects the people you are auditing. You go to a place and there are people who have their personal agenda that they want to use your report to pursue. They have their own agenda, and then that's why you have been invited. So you are just a tool, an instrument, and you need to be aware, politically aware, political awareness, being able to read the power play in a unit or section that you are working in is part of being emotionally intelligent. If you need to get knowledge, get it, so that you don't become a pawn in the hands of somebody else. The temptation when you are doing auditing is to just surround yourself with paperwork and not talk to people, because it's easier to vet the documents than to deal with people who have all sorts of ideas about you or who are not willing to cooperate. So if you don't take care, you shy away from talking to people and you deal with paper. As an internal auditor, you need to have courage. And courage is one of the manifestations of being emotionally intelligent. So the internal auditor needs to be able to maintain control, power, and influence by managing challenging personalities and situations. If you cannot manage your own emotional life, how can you manage another person's, a difficult person's emotions? Because you need something from that person, how are you going to manage your own emotions so that they don't get in the way of work? Is very, very, very important. It is a skill that every auditor needs to build. To be able to think critically. Whenever you are stressed, it affects how you think. Stress cuts off your rational thought. Your capacity to think, your rational brain's capacity is impaired by stress. So when you are not managing your stress, you are not managing your emotions. What happens is that your emotional brain takes over. And the way you need to understand and have insight into the things that you are doing, you won't be able to get it. So you do a shoddy job. So your ability to manage your emotions so that they don't interfere with your cognitive abilities is very crucial. Otherwise, at the end of the day, you come complaining and making noise that the people, they are like this, they are like that, and this and that. Me, I can't do it all. Or you give a report that your superiors will reject. Or they have to send another person to go and do the work. And you need to be able to work under pressure. You can go to the place and it's like you are walking around the place and all eyes are on you, and it's like they want to eat you up. You have to be able to still work. How do you insulate yourself from all those things? It takes emotional intelligence. And at times you have to deal with highly sensitive matters. When you get knowledge of certain kinds of information, it is easy to allow it to get into your head, and you are feeling cool around the place, you are feeling big, and you want to use certain kinds of information as into like you are better than other people. How do you handle this and prevent yourself from capitalizing on what you know to your personal for your personal benefit? It takes emotional intelligence. And you will have to be communicating with the highest level of the organization. How do you communicate? Are you going to communicate based on your fears or your apprehension? You may end up damaging the image of the whole section or department because you couldn't handle yourself well. So in order to be able to use whatever level of emotional intelligence you have to be emotionally competent. And these are the components of emotional competence. So it's not enough to just be able to tell which emotion someone is feeling. It's not enough to feel for somebody. You need to go beyond that. Your life and work, and to build relationships. So that is what emotional competence is about. So being able to manage yourself, being socially aware, knowing what is going on around you, knowing what people are feeling around you, and then being able to manage relationships or have social skills. So these are the 4 components that we'll look at quickly. So being self-aware means that you know who you are. You know who you are emotionally. You know the things that get to you. So when some ancient feelings are welling up in you, you have picked them up already, and you know that you cannot let them get in the way of what you are doing. For example, you have a certain hatred for a certain hatred in your heart when a lady is showing cleavage, or when they are wearing short dresses. and you are going to do your audit work, and the auditee is dressed like that, how are you going to manage yourself? Remember that your emotions will show through. It will affect your relationship building with the person, because in your head and in your heart, you are feeling all sorts of things. It's going to affect your work. So you need to be able to understand that I have this particular problem. If I think that it is bad, not everybody thinks it is so. Deal with it. Deal with it. Otherwise, it will follow you and keep destroying your work. From all that I've been saying, I'm just trying to point out the fact that we all carry certain baggages, emotional baggages, that as part of becoming more emotionally intelligent, we need to acknowledge and deal with. Otherwise, they will continue to hamper the quality of work that we do. It is like being very tall. If you are very tall, it means be careful wherever you are going, because your head can easily hit something. You cannot go around complaining that why did they make the door so short? Don't they know that some people are tall? And then you are all angry and fighting people. All you need to know is that I'm tall. So wherever I get, I have to be careful. I have to bend before I can enter the room, so that you don't get yourself angry. In the same way, you know you have a peculiar problem, emotional issue, or you have a pet beef about something. You need to deal with it. You need to be self-aware, so that anytime it's coming up, you know it. You know you have a bad temper. You need to be aware of that. Deal with it so that it doesn't become a hindrance to your work. So you need to be self-aware, know thyself. And you need to have an accurate assessment of yourself. You need to know your strengths and your limits. You need to have a very strong sense of self. When you know yourself, it's difficult for people to offend you. But when you are always waiting for the opinions of others about you, so that when somebody comes and says you are a fool, you take it very hard. You know you are not a fool. So if somebody says you are a fool, you know they are just saying something which is not true. So you need a strong sense of self so that you don't get easily offended. You know your weaknesses. You know that I have this problem. So if somebody says it, I'm not going to get offended about it. So we all need to build our sense of self. Nobody is perfect. We all have our strengths and our weaknesses. You must know yours, so that you know how to leverage your strengths. You know how to live so that your weaknesses don't hamper your work. And being as part of knowing yourself, you need to be self-confident. Self-confidence is important. In this world, fair people appreciate your effort. So wherever you are, put in your best, and fair people will appreciate it. And understand that those who don't appreciate what you are, the effort you are putting in, usually they don't matter. And the people who matter for you, they don't usually care. You need to be internally motivated. It helps you to take initiative. It helps you to learn, build on your skills, acquire the necessary knowledge to enhance the quality of work you do. You need internal motivation. You need to be able to self-regulate. How do you manage your emotions so that they don't disrupt your work and your relationships? So we all need to build our capacity to limit that tendency to respond emotionally, react emotionally to whatever goes on. Anything goes on, you react with emotion. Even if you don't show it, inside you are boiling. I believe that we have all learned that the problem is not what is going on. It is what is happening, what the reactions you are having inside you. It is immaterial. And the fact that you are very angry doesn't mean you are right. The fact that you are angry doesn't mean, say, what's there? You are so angry and you are throwing tantrums. It means the other person is wrong. It's not true. It just means that you have a problem with that particular thing in your heart. There is a problem with your program regarding the particular issue. Being trustworthy requires that your own needs and emotions have been dealt with so that you don't compromise on your values and your principles, your fears, your desires, your goals in life. How do you situate them so that at the end of the day, they don't begin to drive you to do what is unethical? Your fear of dying poor can make it easy for an auditee to influence you. How have you managed that fear? Your trustworthiness depends on whether you are going to be successful in the work you are doing or not. And it takes you managing that fear. That is emotional intelligence. Conscientiousness, taking responsibility for your performance without rising above your own emotions, surrounding the work that you are doing, so that you can remain sufficiently motivated. You cannot produce good quality work. The quality of work you produce is decided by whether you have dealt with the emotions. Otherwise, it will color the quality of work you do. Your adaptability. The emotions that change evokes. Change evokes a lot of emotion. How are you able to manage it? You have been thrown into a certain situation. Are you going to be able to manage the emotions and still be able to work? So adaptability requires emotional intelligence. Being innovative requires emotional intelligence. Why? Because for you to be creative, your mind needs to be freed of all disruptive emotions. When a runner is on the tracks and is running, he does not even hear the cheering crowd because he's so focused on what he's doing that everything else pales away. And that is what happens when we have to be creative. If we don't shut out all the things that are calling for our attention, then at the end of the day, you are so distracted that the height of the power of your brain is limited. Remember, we said that when you are in that kind of emotional state, your cognitive capacity reduces. You need it to be at its highest when you should be creative. And you cannot afford to have emotions coming in to distract you. Commitment, that is aligning with the goals of your group organization, is a function of emotional intelligence because you are putting your own needs aside. We said that your needs, when not met, can generate emotions. How are you able to manage your emotions because you have needs to be able to commit to the greater good? It is about emotional intelligence. Initiative, it's also about emotional intelligence. Being optimistic, your ability to generate hope that overpowers the negative emotions emanating from the obstacles and setbacks that face you. How do you mount that hope? Then we talk about being socially aware. It's about empathy. Your own emotions can limit your desire to care about others and about their concerns. And this can distract you from paying attention to the emotional signals that others are giving out. We said that without understanding people, we cannot influence them. We cannot get them on our side. You cannot understand people when you don't feel their emotions. You are not reading them correctly. How much are you in tune with the people you are working with? You cannot be in tune with somebody when you are preoccupied with yourself. So, because we are social beings, we function better when our focus is away from ourselves. We are designed to care about other people. So our brains and our bodies function better when we are doing things for others. When we are thinking about me, our well-being is impaired. So empathy is something that we are created to be able to do. So let us make sure we make use of it so that we'll be able to influence the people that we work with. Developing others is important. Being politically aware, we've talked about. You should be able to read the emotional currents and power relationships within the group. That is very important for the work that you do. Communication, you've mentioned it. Leadership, change catalyst. Internal auditors are change catalysts. Management listens to you. So how can you leverage your competency as a change catalyst to bring change to the organization? The people you are auditing know that if you say it, they will listen. Do you feel the same way, or you see yourself as a non-entity? I mean, what can I say? Who am I? You need to have confidence in yourself so that the change that you can catalyze will come on. Being able to manage conflict, being able to build bonds, being able to collaborate, your team capabilities, all these things emanate from your emotional competence, and it's all based on your emotional intelligence. How emotionally intelligent are you? I would like to end here, and then I'll take the questions. Thank you very much.
Thank you very much, Doctor. It looks like, unfortunately, we can't applaud you online, but I want to believe, yeah, we've taken note of what you've done or the presentation so far. Thank you. I want to proceed now to read a few of the questions. I think we can take 2 or 3 at a time, then you answer it together.
Okay.
So from Felix, he's asking, can one remove negative emotional programming? Can one remove it? Negative emotional programming. Then Isaac Bonnie is asking, are we born with emotional intelligence or we study it at school? Are intelligent people or persons with high IQ emotionally intelligent too? I believe you want to handle these 2 first. Then
Okay.
we move on.
So how do you undo negative programming? So the thing is first to appreciate how it is impacting your life. People at times give us feedback, but we just say it's not true. I'm not like that. The feedback that people give you is one of the ways to know about yourself, because you don't know yourself as much as you think you do. Other people can give you feedback, especially those close to you. So knowing your nature, knowing your weaknesses helps. Secondly, the programming manifests at the level of our emotions, of our feelings. So anything you feel strongly about, you should know that there's some programming that has happened. And as I said, the programming happens on the basis of your child brain, your immature child brain. If you're going to live your life based on those feelings, then it means that your child brain is what runs your adult life. So whenever you feel strongly about something, it is just trying to tell you that let your adult brain go into action and begin to dissipate the emotional energy that is welling up inside you. Manage it before you take action. We said that emotions will hamper your thinking. You cannot deprogram yourself. It is about changing habits. So you want to build a new habit which is opposite to the one that you have. It takes time and iteration. You do it over and over and over. You decide that when I'm angry, I won't talk. After doing it for a long time, or you decide that I won't get angry. Personally, for example, I told myself that there's no need to get angry on the road. When I'm driving, somebody has done something, or driver, then I wake myself up and I decided I'm not going to do that because it doesn't make sense. You are insulting the person in your car, the person is not hearing you. You know what he's doing, it's not like you've not done something before. But you get angry and you are talking and doing all the things. It's silly. So I decided I was not going to do it. It took time. But now I sit in my car quietly, calmly. If you come and cross me, as long as you haven't hit me, there's no problem. I'm scared, fine. I step on my brake. It's my problem. If you think that you are so scared, that time you realize you've gotten now, you are fighting. But manage that emotion, learn it gradually. Gradually, you are dealing with it. So your emotions will tell you, will point you to where the problem is. So you were also asking whether it's about nature or nurture, whether people are born emotionally intelligent.
Yeah, or they study it at school.
Or they can learn it from school.
Yeah.
So by 2 years of age, you can tell the difference between children. Some children are very nice. They are easy to calm. They are always smiling. They don't cry a lot. Some children are very cranky. They are not able to handle their frustrations well. At 2 years, there is already a difference about how difference in how children are able to handle their emotions. So what I said, the diagram I showed you, I told you that what happens in your mother's womb, what happens in the first 2 years of your life, all have an influence on your emotional tendencies, your emotional life. So before you can say Jack, you have been programmed. Before you can say Jack, you have been programmed. As adults, so the thing is that the kind of environment we grow up in can be so bad that some children fall sick and die. So if you survive where others died, then you must know that you have been damaged in all sorts of ways. As an adult, it is up to you to manage whatever is left that you are surviving with, rather than take it out on the rest of the world. So what killed your sibling didn't kill you. You survived, but you have been injured. How do you manage your life so that you can achieve success in your life? For some people, it's easier. But for some of us, it's more difficult. So everybody and how they have turned out, you need to be self-aware and you need to tackle your problems one at a time. That I have this problem, I'm dealing with it this year or this 6 months. That's what I've targeted. I'm trying to develop a habit which is opposite to this one so that I can come out of this program. That's a way to do it. So emotional intelligence can be learned. Somebody will say it's natural, but at the end of the day, it happens so early in life, you think it's not natural. It's not natural. It is what goes on in the womb, what goes on in the first few years of your life. So if you have a 1-year-old child who is always left at home and the mother will not carry her, she will cry and the mother will not mind her. She won't give her food. She'll be hungry for hours. That child cannot be like a normal child when it comes to its emotions. That child has a big hurdle to clear when it becomes an adult. So You have to deal with it. I hope I'm okay. I'm clear.
Yeah, so Doc, the second part of the question is, are intelligent people or people with high IQ emotionally intelligent?
Okay, so we've all been to school with people who were very intelligent, but today they've messed up their lives. For success in your career, for success in your relationships, IQ is not that important. There are two different intelligences. If you take maybe graduates and you check their intelligence levels, their emotional intelligence levels, and you follow them up for 30 years, those who have just finished school, you follow them up for 30 years, you will find out that those who were found to be more emotionally intelligent after school would have succeeded better in life than those who were not as emotionally intelligent. So emotional intelligence allows you to succeed in your career. It allows you to succeed in your relationships. It is different. It's an emotional and social intelligence. It is not cognitive. It is not brain power. It is true that if you are emotionally intelligent, it can help you in your schooling, but they are two different things. So you can have a boss who knows, but you don't want him as a boss. He's not a good boss. And you can have somebody who doesn't know much, but you just love them as your boss. One is emotionally very intelligent. One is not as much as intelligent as that. Thank you.
Okay, please can we take another two from Andrew Nyako? The question is, how do you achieve cooperation when dealing with someone who has vested interest in preventing you from doing your work? There was a particular auditee who twice at least made me cut an assignment short. The one who took over from me caught him stealing. Why should I be blamed for such a person's behavior? I think this one is loaded. I don't know whether I want to take, I should read it again.
Yeah, so we need to understand that other people's behaviors are outside our control. One, other people's behaviors, you cannot control it. If somebody decides that this is what I want to do, you can't prevent them from doing it. But you can change how you feel about other people's behaviors. Okay, when somebody is deliberately doing something, it means that they are expecting a certain response from you. They want a certain reaction from you. When you give them that reaction, they will feel emboldened. The person being host, and they are watching your reaction. It's like a lion that is trying to attack you. It will start to threaten you. When you begin to run, you are finished. When you stand your ground, it is a different ball game. So are you going to react and give the person what they want? Or are you going to manage your emotions and give them a response that will confuse them? Secondly, we need to understand that everybody responds to love because we are social beings. We are made to respond positively when another person shows us love. We cannot, we are vulnerable. We become vulnerable when people show us love. Unfortunately, in the auditing field, we don't have the time to build that relationship with the person so that at least the person knows that this person wants my interest. But generally, people who are difficult, love always wins them over. The problem in this world is that there isn't enough love. So bad people are left undealt with. And we want to blacklist them. We want to stigmatize them. We want to gossip about them. But what they need is love. You cannot run away from true love. So if the person does not want the work to be done, there is nothing you can do about it. But don't generate negative emotions about it. A lot of times it's easy to get angry with the person and then you wish you can do something to them. Your whole body language says that you are his enemy, and he will also not like you. But if you think you are the good person, then go with an open heart and go with a heart of love and let the person know you care about them, even if they are evil, because God loves Saul. That's why Saul lived that long to become Paul. So show them that you care about them, and know that there is nothing you can do about other people's behavior. Just love them and let them be. When the day comes, they will change. Thank you.
There's this question from Mr. Fahad. The question is not very clear, but it says about those who are employed but stationed at wrong positions in the organization. I think I'll add this next one from Isaac Bonny. As an auditor, how do you feel with a situation when you enter a room or a place, then suddenly everybody stops talking, so you leave the environment, then they continue to talk?
Yeah. So when you are in an organization, I suppose the first question is about when people are being favored and put into positions where they don't deserve to be in. Yeah, so it is easy to generate emotions about these things, but it is very important to not take these things personally. Anything you take personally, you mount negative emotions to them. Never feel like you are a victim in any circumstance. You cannot be a victim. People can play their games, but at the end of the day, you will end up where you are supposed to be. Farmer, they say, is a bitch. You know you are the one supposed to be here, and they have manipulated and put another person there. My brother, my sister, chill. You never know why you are not the one there. In the introduction, they said, I'm a pastor, so let me preach a bit. There is no authority. There is no authority apart from what God gives. Nobody generates authority. God is the ultimate source of authority. There's authority that gets given to people is what they receive, that they are giving some to us. So if you don't get a certain position, don't bother your head. If God wants to give it to you, it will come to you at the right time. If it goes to another person, let it go. Because nobody, no matter how wicked a president is or a leader is, he's there because God has permitted it. We shouldn't get the idea into our head that Satan can give somebody authority. Satan cannot give anybody authority. So in any organization you find yourself, whoever they put there as head, just cooperate with them and work with them without generating negative emotions. If it's your turn, it will happen. Until it's your turn, forget. How the person manages to get there is none of your business. Authority is from God and God alone. Never think that Satan has brought the person. It is not so. Somebody
Okay, Mr. Swa, because of time, I'm being forced to rush
put somebody
the other
in a position, and in their tribe, he's healed. He knows that if he does this thing, the whole village will hail him because he's a good son of the land. So you don't know the motives that people have, what pushes people to do the things they do. The other question is about people reacting negatively to us. Once again, when your sense of self is strong, you are not affected by how other people behave towards you. You are not affected. You know yourself. You know you are self-confident. You know your strengths. You know your weaknesses. You are not all of a sudden going to start thinking that there is something wrong with me. You know there is nothing wrong with you. So you just have to relax. It's part of being emotionally intelligent. A lot of people will behave like that. If you crack a joke, you see that everybody will break down laughing and they will loosen up. So just try and manage yourself and don't give people what they want. When people misbehave, they are looking for a certain reaction from you. Don't give it to them. Give them the opposite of what you think they are looking for. Thank you.
Okay. At this juncture, I want to announce that we have in the chat box the survey forms for evaluation. We want to get evaluation from members. So we are encouraging all of you to get this from the chat box. I believe it will also be sent into your emails, but the immediate one is your chat box. Please check in your chat box and fill out the evaluation forms for us. Yeah. Pastor, please, to continue with a few questions before we round up. From Vera Agbenyaga, what techniques can we use to quickly manage the negative emotions? And there's another from Mr. Kwatin. What are the strategies for dealing with disruptive emotions? I believe they are related. The negative emotions and disruptive emotions. If you can tackle that briefly for us so that we look at other questions.
So the first thing is to have the knowledge that we've shared, that your emotions are not always related to the current circumstance. Your emotions are not always related to the current circumstance, and their intensity is determined by your constitution, by who you are. So when emotional signals come up, you need to remember that they are just signals. Signals that a need that you have is not being met, or an opportunity is being denied you, or your life is being threatened in a certain way. So you must be committed to first ensuring that you are always on your guard against any negative emotions. And then secondly, operating from the level of love and service, that I'm here to serve you. I come with an open heart. I'm not perfect, but there is something I can do. I'm not afraid about what perceptions you are holding about me. I'm not afraid of what you are going to do, because at the end of the day, I'm optimistic that everything will work out. So the whole thing is a package. How optimistic are you that at the end of the day, it's all going to work out? If you don't work out those things initially, and then you are waiting for people to treat you nicely before you feel good, at the end of the day, you are not going to win. You have to be determined to be a thermometer, a thermostat, not a thermometer. Being emotionally intelligent means that you take control of your environment and you determine the emotional temperature of the environment you find yourself, rather than responding or reacting to whatever temperature has been set in the place. Are you a thermometer or are you a thermostat? You know yourself. So wherever you go, you must have your strategies to take control of the place in such a way that everybody relaxes. Because in your heart, you know you are not coming to do anything bad. You don't have an agenda to come and do, a personal agenda to come and persecute, but you have the organization's interest at heart. So you go with that attitude and people respond to you. Use the fact that emotions are contagious to take control of the area by working up the positive emotions that you want people to have, so that you infect them with it. Because you are at the top, you have the power. Emotions are contagious from the top down. So if you go with the positive emotions, it will spill down to the other people. Thank you.
In the spirit of time management, I think we'll break off very soon with the questions and go on with the other programs. Then when we have more time, we come back to questions, because I still have some questions. But please, Doc, can you answer this last one for this session before we move to the others? What techniques will you recommend for internal auditors for de-escalating heated engagements with auditees, especially during exit meetings? Additionally, how can we leverage on emotional intelligence to get our auditees to buy in to those difficult issues? Whilst you are preparing to answer, may I prompt Mr. Samuel Ofori, to start getting ready to do his presentation on the certification. Doc, please, you may answer this.
Okay, so we first need to acknowledge the fact that people's emotions are justified. Maybe the way you have couched the statement, the person gets angry. You just have to understand why they are angry. If you don't understand, ask them, what do you suggest that I do? How do you want me to put it? The work is not done yet, but the person thinks that you are going to harm their interest. Understand that when people feel threatened, they will generate emotion, negative emotions, and those emotions are very strong, and they can come out very strongly. And if you are not that emotionally intelligent, you will pick up all those emotions yourself, and then it will become a banter. It will become say, I say, and it can become messy. So as an internal auditor, you need to anticipate the kind of emotions that can come up and then prepare for them, know how to dissipate those emotions by taking charge of the emotional temperature. Don't go and be a thermometer. As I said, that the moment you went and they are all misbehaving, then it infects you, and then you also start your own. Because we all have our emotions, we all have our temper. So if somebody is angry and is talking by heart, by the time you realize, you respond in like manner, but you cannot afford to do that. Yours is to diffuse it. How do you diffuse it? By not picking it up such that your face is showing you are angry. Your words that you are bringing out, try to calm the situation. And remember that the moment emotions take over, it makes the problem look bigger than it actually is. So don't take on those emotions. Have your own emotions that you have come with, that I've come with love, I've come with happiness in my heart because I'm doing a good job. I'm doing something useful. And I'm not going to allow myself to be bullied. No matter how small the light is, it overcomes the darkness. Thank you.
If you are speaking, you are muted, please.
Yeah, I'm done.
Mr. Dowona, if you are speaking, you are muted. Kindly unmute.
Oh, sorry. We want Doctor now to take a break from the questions. Time permitting, we'll come back to him. For now, we are encouraging everyone again to fill out the survey forms, which has been put in the chat box. Please, it is very important for us, the evaluations. We want to encourage all of you to take a look at the survey forms. Can I believe, Ruben Ofori, please, are you ready now? Samuel Ofori.
Yes, I am ready.
Yeah, please, you have just a few minutes, I believe 15 minutes to do the presentation on the certification process for us. Over to you, Samuel.
Okay, thank you very much. Good afternoon, Mr. President, Vice President, Council members, colleague auditors. I believe we have other professionals online as well. Good afternoon to all of you, possibly other students. Good afternoon to you all. I'll just quickly run through the certifications that the IIA offers. If there are any one or two questions, I'll take them as well. I believe that the President and the IIA will come back with some more information, as the President alluded to earlier. So in terms of why we should get certified, per the IIA and from what we've seen, from our experience and our research, it enhances credibility and respect. It's commonplace to find internal auditors who are not just certified in CIA, but are not certified in anything relevant to the profession at all. And it's also commonplace to find a lot of internal auditors who are chartered accountants, which we'll talk about briefly. And then, of course, the idea of having an internal audit team is not to have one sort of profession or one sort of educational background, but to have a mix that collectively can achieve the objectives of the audit department, depending on the industry you are in. So we'll talk about that briefly in the next few bullets. Again, you get certified to sharpen your skills and proficiency. I think that's pretty straightforward, and to increase advancement and earning potential. Sometimes, especially in the public sector, we may not fully appreciate what it means to say that you increase your earning potential by becoming a CIA. But especially in the private sector and in some public sector organizations in Ghana, just as the ACCAs, the ICAs, and so on are able to get you some advancement, the same applies for the CIA. But of course, there needs to be that education and recognition of the certification in your organization for that to be done. And then again, it helps you as a professional auditor to demonstrate understanding and commitment. I think that's a key point. For me, if you would read through what we call the Global Internal Audit Standards as released by the IIA last month, and you'd read a lot of internal audit documents to upgrade yourself to be able to deliver on your internal audit mandate, then for me, you might as well write the exam, because you have the credibility, you have the respect, you have the experience, you have the knowledge, you have the skill, you have the proficiency to do internal audit engagements, but you don't have anything to show that until you've actually done it. Okay, so once you are committed, I think Dr. Sowa even suggested that in his presentation, once you are committed to developing yourself and becoming a better person, i.e. getting the requisite knowledge to do internal audit, it makes sense to get the CIA certification to be able to prove that without having to explain too much. Two other key points relating to why you should get certified, specifically or especially with the CIA certification or designation, is that the designation is the only globally recognized internal audit certification. Now, if you check online, you'd see some other internal audit certifications specific to some countries. And even within those countries, not in all sectors, probably a small group of people. But the CIA designation is the only globally recognized internal audit certification. And if you do some research online, you'll be able to come to that conclusion as well. Finally, one of the key points for getting certified, it's easier to achieve the CI designation than most similar certifications, especially when it comes to the internal audit profession. What we see predominantly as people being auditors, and this is also evidenced by the kind of adverts we see being placed out by public and private sector organizations. You'd see predominantly they'll be looking for an ACCA certified accountant or an ICA chartered accountant. In some instances, you may see CISA if the role is IT related, and then you get to see CI as well. Aside from CISA, which is a one exam paper, ACC and ICA, haven't had the privilege to go through ACCA, are very difficult papers. And the truth is, you don't actually need to be a chartered accountant. I'm not downplaying, obviously, the importance of going through that rigorous number of papers to become a chartered accountant. But if you understand the internal audit profession well, you would know that you don't have to be a chartered accountant to be an internal auditor. And as I said earlier, the profession is growing so much and expanding so much that we are even trying to move away from having many more chartered accountant in internal audit when the nature of our work involves a lot of other areas aside accountancy. And I typically ask a few people that when I meet people, especially chartered accountants, I ask them if they are internal auditors, that how much of the work you do you have to refer back to your debits and credits, or understand what a fixed asset is, or understand what contingencies are and things like that. And it's at most 10% of the work that is done, depending on the industry you are in. So if you choose to acquire the CIA designation, you are looking at 3 papers. Of course, just like any professional exam, it's not easy, but it's more easily achievable than going through the ICA or the ACCA designation, which in itself is not an internal audit designation, so to speak. So these are a few reasons why you and I should get certified. The IIA used to have, aside the CIA, used to have 7 other designations, the QIAL and a few other designations. But in order to sort of draw focus to the key designations that champion the institution, it has now been restricted to the CIA, which is predominantly what we are talking about today. Then the certification in risk management assurances, which is CRMA. And then there's the internal audit practitioner, which we will talk about in the next few slides. So what are the steps to certification when it comes to the CIA and even when it comes to the CRMA? Briefly, of course, council members are there, so we can always give, or they can always give better explanation to this, but because of the time, I'll just briefly touch on these ones. You need to apply to IIA Ghana to join the IIA. Now, you can get the forms on the IIA website, you can download it, fill it, but then you have to submit them manually, which I believe the IIA is working on to find a way around it. And in due course, I'm sure we'll come up with some information on that. And then once you go through that process, you're able to apply via the CCMS and then apply for the CIA exam. And then, of course, there are some CPEs you need to do annually to maintain your designation after you become certified. More details will be provided on this in subsequent webinars. So what is the internal audit practitioner sort of designation? The IIA came up with this designation because not all internal auditors are internal auditors as a lifelong profession. There are people who are internal auditors because they are part of a management trainee program and they'll need to do 6 months or 1 year or 1.5 years in internal audit. So they may not want to go to the 3-part exam, which goes into the very details of the standards and everything you need to know as an internal auditor and build on. So this provides the opportunity for beginner auditors, rotational auditors, and as I said, people just passing through the department, depending on your organizational structure, processes, and how recruitment and rotations are done. And then also, if you do not have a traditional university degree, then this is a very good route to eventually get to the CIA designation. I won't waste too much time on this slide, but the internal audit practitioner has 5 syllabus domains. Basically, just wants to test your basic knowledge of certain aspects of the standards. So there are 5 syllabus domains relating to that. It's a 2-hour exam with 100 multiple choice questions. And just like the CIA and the CRMA exams, you can either do it on-site meaning that you go to one of the registered exam centers and write, or you can do it online. In our case, you can choose to do it from home if you have stable internet and stable electricity. And then you have 2 years to complete the exam once approved. Because this is, well, generally CIA and CRMA have the same 2 years, but because this is something you are doing just to pass through the internal audit function, obviously it's expected that you complete it within a certain time for it to make sense. Again, you have 3 years of active designation, after passing. That means if you get the internal audit practitioner designation today, you have 3 years and then it becomes invalid. The reason for that is that it's supposed to be an entry point for the CIA. And so they don't want you to hold an internal audit practitioner certification or designation for the rest of your life. So it's sort of a temporary designation that you hold to either pass through the internal audit department or use it to build your career by going through the CIA as well. And then you have 3 years to enroll for the CIA exam after you are able to pass and hold the internal audit practitioner certification. The flagship certification is definitely the CIA. It's the only gold standard designation for all internal auditors. And as I said earlier, it's the only globally recognized designation for internal auditors. In terms of numbers across the world, we moved from 180,000 plus somewhere last 2 years. And as at 10th of June, 2023, the IIA has 235,000 plus members globally. In terms of certified internal auditors, there are 190,000 plus certified internal auditors globally. The IIA is in 170 countries and territories, and then the IIA has 115 affiliates across the globe. So briefly, I'll touch on the eligibility requirements. They are a bit stringent in my opinion, but this is what is there until it changes. If you have a master's degree, you have to submit a valid government ID, and then you have to do a character reference. The character reference is online. You need to give it to your supervisor or your boss in the office or a CIA designated professional. And so you just put in their email address, and then you get to share the character reference, which they can approve. The experience required if you hold a master's degree is similar to what you need to do to have the designation, because passing the exam doesn't automatically give you the designation if you haven't acquired all the relevant experience you need. So for a master's degree, you need 1 year. That's on the last column. You need 1 year internal audit experience or equivalent. If you do not have this as you are applying for the exams, you will need it to get your designation after you have passed the 3-part exam. Again, whether you're using master's, bachelor's degree, or you have the internal audit practitioner designation, or you have other educational certificates, you have to write a 3-part exam to be able to get the CIA designation. For a bachelor's degree, you need 2 years experience or equivalent. And if you have the internal audit practitioner designation, which I spoke about in the previous slide, you need 5 years internal audit experience or equivalent to be able to be given the CIA designation. In terms of other education, so you may have a high school diploma, an HND, an associate degree, A-level, and so on. You can apply, but then the experience requirements are more similar to the internal audit practitioner designation. The current pricing effective July 1, 2024. So currently we have $5, just about $5 to $10 difference in the prices. But for effective July 1, 2024, if you've not already applied, this is just to encourage you to apply for the certification and apply for the exam because the pricing is going up. If you're a member from July 1, 2024, this year, you'd pay $120 for the application to go through the process. So you have to apply for the CIA designation before you apply for each exam part. And then you pay $310 for part 1, $280 for both part 2 and part 3. And this is on the premise that you are a member. Either you've gone online to do it, but preferably you've gone to through IIA Ghana, gotten your local number, gone online to do the global as well. Then these prices apply to you. If you are not a member, as you can see in the middle column for the information, it's very expensive. I won't go through the details, but it makes sense to be a member before you write the exams. And so that would be what I will encourage. The CIA exam is divided into 3 parts: essentials of internal auditing, practice of internal audit, and then business knowledge for internal auditing. The essentials for internal audit, which is a part 1, and in my opinion, the most difficult of the 3 parts, involves foundation of internal audit, independence and objectivity, proficiency due professional care, QAIP, and the others. For the sake of time, I won't read everything. I mentioned that is the most difficult because what many of us are used to will be what is in part 2. Part 2 is actually, in my opinion, a bit easier than part 1, because part 2 has to do with managing the department, how you plan an engagement, how you do supervision and review, and then how you do your reporting and your engagement with the board and audit committee and so on. Because that is a part of what we do always, we sort of find it easy to relate. That is on condition that your internal audit department or function is aligned with what is now the global internal audit standards. That becomes easier. And then the part 3, because internal audit is obviously expanding, technology is expanding, so many things are happening in organizations. So things like IT, information security, and basic financial management skills are expected, as well as business acumen, and that's what's in part 3. It's also, in my opinion, not as difficult as a part 1. Part 1 because there are a lot of people who may write part 1 and may not even go to the end. Part 1 has to have enough information to equip you to continue your work, even if you didn't continue, which shouldn't be the case, but to give you all the foundational tenets of internal auditing. And so that summarizes the 3-part exam we have. Then also, the Institute of Internal Auditors recognizes the need to, just as other professional bodies do, ICA permits you to apply for apply for the designation if you are a chartered accountant ACCA. Of course, that is changing in November, where you'd have to write some papers. But just like that, the CIA also has brought in ACCA and this, the CISA designation. If you have any of these designations, that means you're a chartered accountant, fully chartered with ACCA, or you've passed the 1-paper CISA examination and applied for certification and are certified information system auditor. If you have any of these 2 designations, there's the CIA challenge route you could use. And for that, you'd be looking at 150 multiple choice questions. And there's a unique syllabus for the ACCA route or the CISA route. The syllabus is very similar to the 3-part exam. However, because ACCA does certain things that are done in CIA as well, for instance, ethics, independence, and objectivity. These are things that if you go through ICA or ACCA, you'd see a bit of that in there. So they tailor the 150 multiple choice questions to focus more on those areas that you may not necessarily have gone through them in ICA, ACCA, or CISA. I mentioned ICA because, as Mr. President said at the beginning, there will be some announcements in the near future regarding that. Again, the CISA would also, which is more focused on IT risks and IT controls and IT auditing. As I showed you from part 3, there are some aspects of IT you should know. So again, that CISA will not have things relating to the core of the CIA designation. And so both exams have 150 multiple questions, and then you have 180 minutes to complete it. Currently, they are only offered in English, but that's not much of a big deal because I assume that is what most of us will write anyway. If you're an IIA member, you pay $1,255, which in a way is very similar to putting the 3-part exam prices together, except that you're writing 1 exam. And if you are not a member, you obviously have to pay close to $400 more. And I don't think that's the option any of us want to take. Finally, we have the CRMA designation, Certification in Risk Management Assurances. The 3 lines model, which I'm sure most of us are aware of, obviously talks about the role of internal audit in the 3rd line, and the role we play in risk management as well. So because in some organizations, you may not whether you have a separate risk management unit or not, it's an auditable unit you'd have to audit at some point, depending on the maturity of your organization. And so this designation offers internal auditors a bit more leverage to go into risk management and really understand what happens there and be able to understand how to audit the risk management processes of your organization and even the department or unit responsible for risk management. To be able to do that, you should be a CIA. The CIA is given preference because it's the flagship, most important, basic designation for every internal auditor. So you should be an active CIA designation. That means your account is up to date locally and globally. And then you can apply for the CRMA exams. And you have to show an ID. Even though they took that before you became an active CIA designation, you still need to show that again. And then you need to have 5 years of internal audit or risk management experience before you be given the CRMA designation. You can go ahead and write it, but if you don't have 5 years internal audit or risk management experience, you won't be awarded the CRMA designation. Briefly, it has 3 core topic areas: internal audit roles and responsibilities when it comes to risk management governance, and then risk management assurance. There's a 150-minute exam, and it has 120 questions from the 3 syllabus areas. And so that brings me to the end of my presentation. If you have 1 or 2 questions, MC, I don't know if there's time for 1 or 2 questions, or we'll go back to the very interesting responses from Dr. Soa. Thank you.
Samuel, thank you very much. You took more than the 15 minutes, so I'm afraid to allow questions. We have a lot of questions. It looks like your slides have generated a lot of questions. We are in agreement at the Secretariat that we want to answer all these questions in another session and then give the answers. If you want to do all that here, I'm afraid we may not be able to proceed. Let's see if by chance we finish and there's time, I'll introduce 1 or 2. But in the interim, thank you very much, Samuel, for a good job done. Yeah.
Very well. Thank you, sir. Bye.
For the sake of time, can we move quickly to Madam Harriet Ikua Kakari, our IPP, immediate past president, to inform us about some of the upcoming programs of the Institute. Thank you. Harriet, please take over.
Thank you very much, Nee. Good afternoon to you all. I stand on all the existing protocols. I quickly want to run us by our upcoming events very quickly. The first one is AFIA conference. AFIA is the African Federation of Institute of Internal Auditors Conference, which comes up from the 15th to 19th of April, 2024 in Arusha, Tanzania. And you wouldn't want to miss this. Last year, Ghana had the privilege of hosting it. And the 10th one is being hosted by Tanzania, which is the seat of the Secretariat of AFIA. And there are 3 activities. The first one is AFIA University. And that is a hands-on training for practitioners or internal auditors. And for members, if you're a member, you are paying $120 to participate in the 2-day event. That is the AFIA University. And if you are not a member, you pay $150. It will run concurrently with the AFIA Governance Forum. The Governance Forum is meant for heads of audit or CAEs, chief executive officers, board members, audit committee members, those in governance. They would attend the Governance Forum. And for the Governance Forum, it is also the same time, 15th and 16th, just as the university, 15th and 16th of April. The early bird rate for members, I'm sure you are noting the privilege of being a member. The early bird rate for members is $300 for the governance Then for non-members is $350. And the deadline for early bird is 29th February for the registration. Now for regular registration, for members, it is $350. And for non-members, it is $400. So you make a savings if you're a member and you also register early. Then the climax of the whole week will be the AFIA conference. And that will be from the 17th, 18th, and 19th. For the conference, if you are a member, the early bird rate is $500. If you're a non-member, the early bird rate is $600. If you pay regularly or you are not able to meet the early bird deadline, for regular as a member, you pay $550. And for non-member, you pay $650. In addition to that, you register through IIA Ghana and you pay a non-refundable administration and transfer charges of $50. So if you are doing the governance and also the AFIA conference, you do, if it is early bird, 300 plus 500 plus 50. That is what you pay. If you are doing the university and you are a member, 120 plus $550. Then with that, we move to the international conference. And the international conference this year, 2024, is coming up in Washington, D.C., USA. And that is also from the 15th to the 19th of July, 2024. For early bird registration, it will end on the 20th of May. So we are still in the early bird. Let's take advantage and register. For a member, you are paying $1,895. That is early bird. Then the regular, after the 20th of May, you are paying $2,095. If you are a non-member, there is nothing like early bird. If you are not a member, you are paying $2,465. And with that, if you register through IIA Ghana, we would facilitate your registration at a fee of $100, as we always do. It has always been 100, no increments. So please, let's take advantage of the early bird from now till 20th May and register. With the next one is our annual conference, our annual national conference 2024. Last year, we didn't have it because we were hosting AFIA 2023. So this year, we will have our own conference as IIA Ghana. And the date will be certainly in May. And it is also going to be part of the May Awareness Month. The exact date will be shared with us, but the venue will be UPSA Auditorium. So please, let's take note. And whenever we come up with the details, the fee and everything, let's register and have our own conference. Then we also want to talk about May Awareness. Every May is set aside globally as Internal Audit Awareness Month. We are encouraging all members to prepare and participate in activities to mark their Awareness Month. Individually, in your organizations, you can decide to have a program. It is a whole month, so you can stagger the program, or you can decide to do it within a week in your organization. When you call on the institute, the council members will attend. Then we would also have an institute celebration for the week. So we'll roll out the activities planned for the whole May in due course. The last thing I want to talk about is how to become a member. If you are on this call and you are not a member, I'm sure by now you have regretted. You will need to be a member. And it is nothing. You only need a degree with 2 years working experience, excluding national service, to become a member. How do you become a member? You pick a form from the secretariat, or if you contact us, we can give you a soft version. You fill, you get it endorsed by your boss and stamped. You have to let your boss sign and also stamp it for you. Then you add a registration fee of 50 cedis in addition to your relevant certificate, your degree or whatever certificate you have, you attach it to it and one passport size photo. That is all. Then when we process your application and you are accepted, we will send you a mail indicating that you have been accepted. And for that matter, you have to pay your annual dues or annual subscription, which is only 600 Ghana cedis. With this, I think I would end here and hand over to Mr. Doona. Thank you very much.
Thank you very much, Sister Kua. I've seen a few questions for you, but unfortunately, we cannot handle any questions because of time limits. Permit me to recognize the comeback or the presence of our Vice President, Ebenezer Omari on the call. Ebenezer, please, you want to say hi to us? If you could unmute. Vice P, Kojo Omari Mreku. We're not getting feedback from him. Permit me to also recognize the presence of our former council member, Isaac Ajin Boni. Isaac, say hi to us. Likewise, I want to recognize the presence of Lady Na Ajoko. She's a resource person and a member of the Institute. Do you want to say hi?
Hi, everyone. Thanks for the opportunity.
Okay. Now, thank you very much. Thank you. I think we are about closing up. Looking at the time, we've gone beyond 2 hours, and I want to bring back our president, Joe Zumazege, to give us the closing remarks. Joe.
Yeah, Nate, thanks very much for a great job done. Members, thank you for staying on the call. Participation was very encouraging. If we get these numbers, then it is proof that we need to do a lot more, because at some point we had crossed 357. I think I actually saw 359 before we later on settled around 354. And now some people have dropped off. Thanks so much for your presence. Just to touch on a few things, I've seen somebody ask whether we'll be making arrangements for hotel arrangements and flight arrangements for those going to the international conference. Unfortunately, we will not be able to handle those two aspects of the trip or of the international conference arrangement. So please do well to do your flight sourcing by yourself and hotel sourcing by yourself, and in good time. There are a lot of questions about the certification. Some had to do with whether we're going to have CIA review classes for members. As recently as yesterday, we had a meeting with Global, some representatives from Global. We are trying to make some arrangement to facilitate learning experiences for candidates candidates who will be preparing for the CIA exams. So we're doing some work around there to facilitate the process, make it easier. But at the moment, we have some facilitators who handle them. If you are preparing, you can contact the Secretariat. We would arrange for you to work with one of some of our recognized certification preparation resource persons. I've seen questions about how to obtain certification in the quality assurance and improvement. As a quality assurance and improvement reviewer, that is a certificate program or course that is run by the Institute. And if you visit the Institute website, the course is available. You will see it as one of them. You can register and take the course as paced, as planned. I think these are the ones I want to touch on. And then I want to say thank you to committee members for working so hard. I know it's been a torrid time for all committees. I see the number of meetings that are going on. Thanks to all committee members for availing your time. And we encourage you to continue to put in your best. Some members put in applications to be allotted roles on committees. Unfortunately, due to the high rate of response that we got from members, and the fact that there were limited spaces within the committees, we could not onboard everybody. But we appreciate your expression of interest to serve in the Institute. So we penciled you down as and when there are ad hoc committees or other tasks that would need additional hands to help us attain, we would fall, I mean, you can expect that you'll be some of the first people that we would want to fall upon. So just in case we call on you to come and support one committee or the other, carry out a particular task or role, please avail your time with us. And we appreciate the interest you express in serving the Institute. With this said, I also encourage that let's look forward to the other events that are lined up. Let's participate actively and share suggestions that would help all of us grow together and elevate the service that we render to our stakeholders, as I mentioned earlier. I thank all of you for your time, and I wish you a restful and lovely evening. Thank you. Nee, I want to hand over so that you can guide us to have a closing prayer. Unfortunately, we couldn't start with an opening prayer. Thank you.
Hello, yeah, thank you very much, Joe. I actually did the opening prayer, but for the closing prayer, Erica is ready to lead us in the closing prayer. But before she comes on, I want to apologize for our inability to answer all the questions during these sessions. We were overwhelmed by the questions and time limitations. But the Secretariat is making sure, the Secretariat is making sure to get these answered. Okay.
Yeah, so we will prepare some responses to questions that have not been answered to the best of our ability and circulate so that members would have some views on those. And there was a request as to whether we could make the audio recording of the presentation available. Yes, we would make it available, but we would share a link so that participants can access the link and download it from there. Thank you.
Thank you very much. Erica, please, can you lead us in the closing prayer?
Thank you very much. Shall we pray? Our Heavenly Father, we thank you, we bless your name. We give you all praise and adoration. We want to once again give you a very big thank you for a successful meeting and a successful webinar. Father, Lord, we pray that whatever has been taught there, we will assimilate it and put it into doings. This and other things we ask. In Jesus' name we pray with thanksgiving. Amen.
Amen. Thank you, everyone, for coming, making yourself available to us. Please be on the lookout for more programs from the Institute of Internal Auditors, webinars, and paid training programs. Let's keep our fingers crossed and listen attentively for more programs in the coming months. Thank you all for coming.
Thank you, everyone. Please, I saw a hand up. If you could just type, if it's a question, kindly type it so that we can pick it and see if we can address it. Thank you.
Mr. Martin Zora, I didn't see you online.
We can hear you.
Yeah, I'm talking to Martin. I didn't know he was online. I would have recognized him, a committee member. Yeah. Okay, bye-bye.